Hey guys, it's Clovis, and I can't believe how simple this guy is if you have monsters that go through labyrinth terrain and change the tiles to normal. As you've seen in the intro, you gotta open with a card that goes through labyrinth, and then you follow up with a card that is strong on Yami, and you can just kill him in 2 hits, in 3 turns. Usually this guy is the longest duelist in the game. You have to go all the way around the sides to beat him, but if you open with a card that goes through the labyrinth, you play it in front of you, you move it forward, and then you move your deck leader forward. Now all you need to do after this is move your deck leader forward on your second turn and play any card in front of you that has a high attack that's strong on Yami and attack him directly. And then on the third turn, just attack him directly again. It's that simple. It is possible you don't draw into cards that are very strong, but ultimately the goal here is to have a bunch of cards strong on Yami. I mean, we're talking about the Position of Darkness starter deck, or if you're playing casually, you can modify your deck to include these things. Remembering that ultimately, as long as we have the SP to play a high attack zombie, we can defeat this guy. Even a dragon zombie on its own is strong enough to kill him in 2 hits. And this guy, really, the simplicity is beyond explaining detail in terms of how to beat him fast. Now, it really is that simple if you have a lab breaker, but you only have lab breakers if you're entering in passwords, or you got them via a 3 in a row, or for example, you earned them through the hidden card find, and these are all post-game things. So if you're playing, for example, the speedrun with no passwords, the old school strategy, and something you can still do, I guess, technically if you don't draw into a lab breaker, is play a Shadow Ghoul. Now, the goal here is to get a Shadow Ghoul in the middle of the field. Obviously, when you move Shadow Ghoul onto a labyrinth, it turns into Wall Shadow, and that it's not a zombie anymore. But if you zombify this Wall Shadow and turn it back into a zombie, it now again has 2100 attack, and it can move 2 tiles in the Yami, and you can attack him twice with that. There's a bit more complexity to it. So if you're playing the Shadow Ghoul and then, for example, Blue-Eyed Silver Zombie, unless you add a card in such as Call the Haunted in a speedrun, your goal is to play the Shadow Ghoul to your top right on the original starting tile. Now, it's actually very important to play it on your right. It doesn't seem like it is, but if you attack him from his right instead of his left, things get way more complicated. He will start to move to the left and then defend to his right, whereas if you attack him from his left, he will move backwards and then forwards and backwards and forwards, unless his AI breaks. So all these little directional things are actually quite important. Now, the only thing we really need to do after this, we don't even need to do it, but it is kind of the key to this strategy, is to zombify the Shadow Ghoul. If we don't zombify it, then we need to have 3 attacks minimum to kill this guy. And because he will move away from that card and then move back, this will take us it'll take us 2 turns to get 1 attack in. And then, between the 3 attacks, it'll take us no less than 5 turns to kill him after we actually get the monster to the left of his spot that he normally likes to sit on around the middle of the field. Now, there are very few things that can really ruin our strategy, one of them being Time Seal. Time Seal will spellbind the highest attack card on the field permanently, so if Wall Shadow, whether it's zombified or not, get spellbound, it is over. You have no way of freeing this. So the only way you can really prevent this from ruining your duel and ruining your run is by making sure that you have a card on your side of the field that is a higher attack than Wall Shadow. If you want to be 100% safe, just make sure you have a card that has more than 2100 attack. Otherwise, your 2100 attack card needs to be on the field before your Wall Shadow is. Now, because this strategy involves both Wall Shadow and Blue-Eyed Silver Zombie to be relatively fast, you do need to see both of these cards relatively early. Another strategy you can do that I would go for if you have Dimensionhole very early is to play Dimensionhole. Now to do this, generally what I do, even if I don't have it, I move to the left and then check the top left tile for a Dimensionhole. And then we want to play Dimensionhole top left and then move it left if we open with it. And then on his next turn, unless he plays Magic Jammer on his first turn, which really does screw you over, now you can just flip your Dimensionhole forward, and then once your deck leader teleports, you can move your deck leader forward, and then you go up this column. Now the reason why you go up the left column instead of the right column is this is all of his spells and traps, and while it is possible to attack into spells and traps, you can just get rid of them entirely by attacking into them. Whereas if you're on the right column, which is his left, that's all of his monsters, so if he has any of these really high attack and defense cards you can't attack over, that are spellbinding your cards, well, basically you're triggering traps, but you also have to attack through these bodies that you may not actually have the attack for. So it is always better to go up the left, always. And again, you do need to attack through trap cards, most likely, but if you do, you just play a monster on top of it, or you just keep moving. So again, you keep moving, and then it's different when you play from behind. So this is where the intricacy to this strategy comes in handy, which you don't have to worry about for any of the other strategies. When you play behind him, something he can do is now when he plays behind him, if you have a monster, or any card actually, if you have a card on his original starting tile, once you've managed to get there, and he's on his original spot, he will play behind him, but then he can't move that card anywhere, so he just leaves it there. And then what happens on the turn after is that he actually moves backwards on top of that card, so now he's actually, yeah, right next to the card that you played on his original starting position, and after he passes and goes to you, you can attack him directly with that card on his starting tile, and hopefully you're also in a position to play another monster on top of that card and attack him again. So again, in any percent, with your passwords, the most optimal way to beat him is opening with a Lab Breaker and then a zombie that can kill him in 2 hits, and you can get the 3 turn. Otherwise, if you don't have passwords, your options are the Shadow Ghoul with a Blue-Eyed Silver Zombie, and the only really other important part of that strategy is protecting your card from losing to Time Seal, which he doesn't play it all the time, but you do want to worry about that. And the option apart from that is a Dimensionhole, which again, Dimensionhole isn't really, I wouldn't consider that fast enough to play, or even Shadow Ghoul to play over the Lab Breaker. If you're playing any percent with Lab Breakers, you probably just want to dump, but do you have a Lab Breaker? And if you don't draw it fast enough, it just sucks. But everything else on this guy is so painfully slow. This guy sucks no matter how you slice it. So hopefully you draw your Lab Breaker early. Or if you're playing no passwords, hopefully you get a Lab Breaker in a 3 in a row prior to him, which is really unlikely. So I don't know, hopefully you just draw your Shadow Ghoul, Blue-Eyed Silver Zombie in your opening hand. If not, a Dimensional, and then just try that and just be happy that you don't have to worry about chewing through all your cards, only to realize that Blue-Eyed Silver Zombie is at the very bottom of your deck and you've just got a 7.5 minute long duel. Really, this guy sucks. I don't like him. I don't think anyone really likes this duel, even casually. But I like you. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Again, if you want to see speedruns, I do speedrun on Twitch, so check me out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, don't forget to check out the speedrun tutorial playlist where I show you how to beat all the other guys in 2 or 3 turns, or however quickly you can beat them. Some of them takes a bit longer than that, but either way. Thank you guys. I'll see you later.